Hi everyone, it's Bitcoin here from
The Big Jabowski.
This round. I'm up against Ragnar 55, and before getting into that match, I just want to quickly talk about yesterday's round, or rather 2 days ago, as I didn't upload any video. I did actually record it, but my opponent ended up not attacking at all, so it was a rather boring match to make a video about. I thought all of the matches themselves were really generic. He said the same defense as he always did. I used Rage Out of Training over here and got 60 banners or something like that. Bounty Hunter's Watt over here. Against his Grievous, I got 59 banners. And then in the bottom here, up against the new team, I think I used Geos or CLS. I don't entirely remember. Here I did a Darth Revan mirror match, which is always a bit ugly on banners. And then in the back, he had a First Order team and his Geos. Used Treya Nest over here, I think, and I added in L3 and Vandor Chewy for a feat. So those died, and that cost me some banners too. So all things considered, it was pretty ugly. I think I actually used my Geos over here and then something else on that new team. It was CLS, yeah. So all things considered, they were fine matches. They were a bit ugly. I wasn't trying particularly hard because there wasn't really any chance he was going to clear both of my front zones. And then in fleets, I actually pushed the limit a little bit and I had to go in for a second try because I wanted to see if with Sunfac in there as a reinforcement, it was still going to be possible to go in undersized with Cassian. But I believe it's possible. The issue was that I just didn't really crit at all throughout the fight. So it meant that I still had to blast through too much health and protection in order to get a lot of ships down. So I think his Millennium Falcon was down in the red twice, but managed to heal back up. And that stopped it from working, so a bit of an unnecessary risk, but I was kind of curious how far I would be able to get it, considering I can't really test this in my fleet arena anymore, as our chat's really small and pretty much everyone is running different fleets now. So I wouldn't really have a proper test there, I think, though I'm sure I could ask and figure it out with people. But yeah, that was the match, nothing too interesting from it, so I figured why make a video if it's just me doing really generic matches and my opponent not even attacking. There's just not a whole lot to learn from that, I felt, and I'd rather just make videos if I feel like there's anything interesting that I can tell people, rather than just doing it for the sake of it and people getting bored of it because there's nothing too interesting going on. So Ragnar 55 then, from the guild Orca East Ender Trading Company, I guess. That's a mouthful. So he runs Padme in Arena with Grandmaster Yoda, so that's always tricky for him. It's why I made the video that I did with Padme using R2-D2, because you just can't rely on using this little green guy in Grand Arena. If you have to sabotage your JKR team in order to clear someone, it's just not a good idea, because you're going to fall short against a Grievous or whatever else you want to use your JKR up against. So he's got quite a lot of relics invested in a bunch of these characters. Also has relics on Treya and Scion. I believe the mods are... Let me take a quick look. Looked at this guy before, but forgot as usual. So I have to stay up to date there. So he's not particularly fast. That's not really a challenge for me. And like the other guy, I don't think I'll have much of an issue here. For some reason, my last week appears to be easier than the former weeks. Usually it's the other way around. It's the last week that's really tough because people have made it to Erodium so far, but in this case it hasn't been as challenging, which doesn't mean that I'll necessarily win. Now my opponent hasn't attacked yet. Looking at my defense, I put some teams over here. Nothing unusual. Then at the bottom here I made a tough zone for him. I don't think he'll be able to clear both of them. And if he does, it's going to be ugly. Then I have some generic teams in the back here, nothing too special. And on defense, I really thought about putting my Negotiator, because he has one good fleet, so to speak, but I think he will just keep his Negotiator for offense and be fine. So I figured I'd put in the Banner Stealer on defense and not use my Rebels on offense. So then on his defense, he's got Garth, generic one, General Skywalker. Now this one's actually tricky because it's got a Gear 8 ARC Trooper, and it means it's really easy to kill him and to trigger 5's a sacrifice. Now I have fought a few like this in Arena, but not with Padme, so I'll be using Padme over here probably, and I'll have to be really careful that I don't put up retribution and accidentally kill this guy off. So I'll have to be very mindful over there to not screw myself over. I think I should still be able to make it, but Echo getting 5s as sacrifice and then doing a grenade, that would be incredibly lethal. So I'll have to be very, very careful there. It's actually interesting how putting in a weaker character can in some ways be a benefit. Then over here he's got a new team with a Gear 7 Django, which is a bit odd to see, but he likes the damage immunity on there, I guess. And based on his history, he tends to switch this character around. He's put Thrawn in here before. He has actually put his 5s in there as well. I'm guessing when he kept his General Skywalker on offense against something. Just seen him do a whole bunch of things. I think he's trying to figure out what makes sense to add as a 5th in his team. And there are, of course, plenty of options that you could pick from. You could leave out one Geo from the Geonosian team. A lot of people like to put in Droideka, etc. But it really depends on what kind of options you have. Because in his case, he puts his Droideka in his Grievous team. And he can't put Newt here. He doesn't want to put BB-8. So he does have to try to make it work. So yeah, Night Sisters over here and his Grievous team over here with a Relic 3 B2. So that guy is going to take a couple hits before I manage to get it down. He does have the crit avoidance arrow as well, so it will be pretty difficult to take him down. It's been a while since I fought one like that, so I'll get started with this one. No idea really what he has in the back. He tends to cycle through a few of his teams, not a whole lot. Then I'm actually looking here, he's got a fairly slow Grievous, which seems pretty tempting for me. But let me just check the B1 as well. Always becomes interesting. I think I'll just stick with JKR here. I'd rather get the sort of the interesting fight to test my limit, because all I have on my JKR team is one relic guy, which is Grandmaster Yoda, who matches the relic of B2. And generally, if you want to try to find a good matchup between JKR and Grievous, you want to make sure that your Grandmaster Yoda is about equally relicked to the B2. And as long as that's the case, you have a fair chance. It doesn't mean that you'll necessarily always win, but you have a fair chance. It's a good matchup. If the B2 is higher relic than your Grandmaster Yoda, it's a really bad idea. If the Droideka here would be relicked, then I would not feel comfortable using my JKR either, just because of the risk of Droideka shooting out Jolee. At Gear 12, that risk is severely diminished, so especially combined with these relics. So in overall, you just have to look at the whole team and get a picture for yourself of, can I handle this team? Will I be able to take out the B2 in a timely manner before the direct focus wears off? And if that's the case, then you can handle it. And this is something you can inspect before deciding on your offense and defense, and maybe you'll have to adjust it a little bit. So in this case, I think this is sort of the limit of what my JKR team is able to take on. Now, I might be wrong, and we're about to find out there. But especially in territory wars, you have to be careful what kind of opponent you pick, and make sure that you don't overcommit, that you take on something that you're not able to handle. But let's see how this one goes. Now, I've had people actually here, what you always do is you start with these two AoEs because it's supposed to trigger B2. And that's 10 attacks right there, basically. Well, 10 hits that you're getting in. And there have actually been people where B2 did not get triggered, which is crazy for so many attacks. But it can happen. It's really shitty RNG. That's just completely out of your control, but it's possible. So let's see how long I'm going to take here. Now, after marking B2, for the people that don't know, you're not supposed to use any more AoEs. Because if you do AoE, that's going to max his turn meter again, make him take a turn, and if he takes a turn, then he can lose the mark. And that's what you absolutely don't want to happen. So in this case, despite the crit avoidance arrow and not really a whole lot of crits on him there, it was really easy to take him down. And then the next target is usually to drop the stacks on B1 a fair bit, to like below 40 or something like that, just so that he doesn't do as much damage on my team. So that's what I usually spend a little bit of time doing. You don't want to take him too low so that he dies off before you get the direct focus back. But you can definitely make some progress. Unfortunately, no buff immunity over there on Magna Guard, which means I'll have to focus on him, and it will likely mean that I'll kill him, which is going to trigger another attack from Grievous. Now you see here the direct focus is about to come up. So what you want to do is take a look around your team, see who has a lot of turn meter, so that JKR can quickly go after that team member again. Now in this case here it's a bit annoying because I'm forced to kill Magnagard. There's no way for me to make him survive. So I'll do that, and then Grievous is going to get triggered and do another AoE. Which in this case actually cost me Revan because Bastilla there did the triggered the Savior. So that's a bit annoying. That's probably a very unideal scenario. If you look at all the possibilities, I generally really dislike losing JKR around this point because right now I would have already put the direct focus on Grievous had he been around. But hopefully he's able to get it off here. There we go. That's also why it's useful to save Hermit Yoda's heal in case he didn't die there. Then I could have immediately healed up my Jedi Knight Revan if he was in a vulnerable position from B1. So now what I want to do is, it's very tempting to put Master's Training on JKR because, yeah, it's nice to get the extra damage, but it's better to put it on Jolee because he just uses Revive. This gives him extra tenacity, which means extra crit avoidance, and as a result you can ensure that your Jolee gets his Revive back quicker and that he doesn't die. Like you can see here, it's a 2. If I would need to revive now, I could use a basic, which reduced the cooldown of the revive. In this case, I don't have to, so I can just kill off Grievous and then try to recover some banners. Now, banner recovery is tricky if Droidica over here is still under buff immunity because he's going to attack someone and deal a lot of damage. But hopefully it won't be a kill. Now, I have an option here to swap to Bastilla to try and stun him, but it's not available, so I didn't remember the cooldowns there. It's not an ideal scenario, but let's see what he's going to do here. Yeah, he went for Jolee, but as you can see here, this is just a Gear 12 Jolee. It's also just a Gear 12 Droidica, but you can get quite a lot done with crit avoidance on him. He can become really survivable. Now, I did this in a previous match as well. I put the direct focus on Droidica so that I don't already kill off B1. I don't already kill off Droidica, and I can try to recover my banners over here. And I have a minute left on the clock. I've been talking a lot, so I should make sure that I actually finish this off. I'll kill B1 already so that he doesn't attack anymore. Now hopefully I stun. There we go. Kill him. Let's see if there's anyone I'm able to recover anything on. Probably not, but we could give it a shot. Swap over to Hermit Yoda here. And this might kill him. Yep, there we go. So that was 58. It's not 60. It's not perfect, but at least I recovered some banners. Took my time for the fight. Made sure that my Jolee was never really in any danger. And that's how you properly get it done. Even though I am substantially lower on the relics and their mods could certainly be better, it's just a matter of looking into those things. So you could see that I checked the mods on B1 as well. If he would have been super fast with high offense, then I might have approached the fight differently as well. So then we'll go for the Night Sister team. Now with Talion here, it's always a bit less ideal if you use bounty hunters. But if you add in Wat, which I'm going to, then it's never really any reason for concern. I could try to do it without Wat, but I don't really need to risk it here. I'll save that for another match someday when I do have to take that risk. So let's take a look here. What have we got? And put the weapon tech on Boba for the extra turn meter, extra offense, and extra executes. Always tempting to use this group attack here in the beginning. Don't do it. You don't need to drop zombies protection so that Bosk will lose his taunt if it gets dispelled. There's just no benefit. So in this case I will ability block Talia for 2 turns because that will stop her from removing my debuffs that I'm putting on their end of the team. Now again, as always, it's tempting to use this execute here, but there is no point because there aren't enough debuffs in the field. Now after Dengar has moved, it starts to become more interesting. But still there's not quite enough. Like Mother Tal's in here, she's got 4. Hopefully this will add another 2. There we go. And now it's perfectly lined up for Boba's execute. And once Talzin is out of there, it's a super easy match. Also, Watt's ability to cleanse those debuffs, it's super handy. The thing is, with Watt in there as well, I'm just able to take on so much higher teams in terms of relics as well. Like, there could be multiple characters with relics on this team. Now it's just Asajj, which is what many people have. Daka's relic is completely irrelevant for this match because they stop revives, so no matter how tanky she is, it doesn't make a difference. Then Spirit does matter. There's no Spirit here, obviously, but if there is a Spirit, you want to take a look at your Bosk's health and protection and compare that to the Spirit. Because if you fight, for example, a Relic 5 Spirit with speed mods, then her opening move will likely hit for something around, let's say, 80, 90k maybe. If she's modded for crit damage and she starts with her special, then maybe she'll be hitting over 110k. So you want to know, does Bosk survive, and does he survive decently? Because if he drops under half health, then it immediately triggers Mother Talzin with her unique Zeta, and then they might kill Bosk off with a group attack. So you want to know, does Bosk survive this stuff, despite having the taunting tech is great, but it doesn't really help you if they manage to make you not take any turns and just kill you off, essentially. So just a couple things to keep in mind depending on what kind of matchup you face. So let's see what he's got in the back. I know in the past he once said an EP Malik team. I do see EP, and he said Malik there with Thrawn as well, actually. Interesting. Okay, so that's going to be an interesting one to fight. And Geos as well over here. So I wasn't sure if he was going to do this, because now what he's got is Darth Revan without Malik on offense, and that makes it incredibly difficult for him to break through a whole lot of teams here even. So I don't even need to clear the zone if I want to win. I'm going to do it, obviously, or going to try anyway. But let's focus on this zone first and fight the probably the new team first with my Geos. I can leave the Cars team for last. I even have my Ewoks on offense, so maybe I'll end up doing that depending on how the EP team goes. But let's first do the General Skywalker. I could check the modding, but it's not particularly relevant because he is at 6 stars. So it's not super useful to get an insight on what kind of stats he has, because he's just significantly weaker. The 5s is not in the last slot here. So I'm actually thinking if I did an AoE here, then 5s wouldn't normally seen, like, I always have question marks about this. People say, yeah, you need to put 5s in the 5th slot, and it makes total sense to me, but I'm just wondering whether they're going to fix it at some point, and we won't know, and that's going to end up costing you a Grand Arena match. Normally seen they explain this, but ever since their most recent updates, a bunch of new bugs have been introduced. Some of them were fixed, obviously, but one of the bugs is, for example, that if Hux loses his dominance and then he's supposed to regain it, he doesn't regain it. So if you don't know that and you go into a match with your usual Hux team and all of a sudden he doesn't regain anything, that could actually end up hurting you. Now I know not a lot of people are running Hux yet, but those are the kind of things that's just super lame. Imagine losing your Grand Arena match or losing your chance at Kyber because of a bug like that, which just wasn't explained and randomly introduced. It's just really a pity. But these things happen, and I feel really bad for the people who it happens to, because it's just super demotivating. Anyway, lots of talk. I'm actually thinking maybe I'll bring Shaq so that I have my Rage Jedi training team together with R2 still. That might actually be smarter, because it's a relatively low relic team. Sure, they could dispel my buffs and debuffs, but I think I'll end up doing this. Been a while since I did it with Shaq here, so that should be nice. Now what you generally want to start with is calling Padme to assist, because it gives the initial protection up. And in this case I'm actually faster than the General Skywalker, which is an absolute luxury, and it means that my cooldowns here were not reduced. So now I can immediately cleanse. Now I won't be able to preserve all of my protection up, unfortunately, though Rex already used his AoE, but Arc can still dispel stuff. I didn't actually check his modding. Maybe he's very slow, so that could be helpful. Almost toppled already due to the low gear. I do want to use the AoE here. just to get 5s a bit lower. And I don't have any retribution besides GAC, so now I'll get the immediate kill on 5s, and then I'm safe from accidentally killing this guy. I always kill Echo second before he gets his second grenade off, which is ridiculously dangerous. And I think I will put the retribution up here, and this should be no problem. Might even end with high banners on some of them, although I see a couple of them lost a little bit here. Let's just call it in with GAC. She's not going to be able to get this move off. Yeah, let's just call it a day. Alright, so nice to save R2 there. 57 banners, I'll take it. Then up against the new team, I'll use my Geos. Just a matter of timing the special with my spy. Bringing CLS is also nice to stop Watt from even putting tech on, but in this case it doesn't make that much sense for me because the nest is really slow and I might end up timing out on her as well as Django. Like, you don't want to keep removing their turn meter, that would be a shame. As long as I can try to end up here with my 60 banners, I should be fine. Now what you can do to avoid stacking early protection on nest is not using the AoE here. It's really tempting, but not necessarily a good idea. This is actually interesting. I think Django needs to have unlocked his what's it called, his payout, in order to have the payout here. That's like in order to have the damage immunity at the beginning here. I didn't even know that. That's interesting. I mean, I've never had to look into it, so let's get Watt out of here before he hands out any more tech. Do the same to Dooku. Yeah, Newt's going to put down his extortion, but that's probably alright. Let's see how far this one gets, actually. Yeah, I thought it might already kill. It's roughly a 60k hit, and Nest had about 50-something k health and protection. So the taunting tech here, which is a pretty weird choice from Watt, was put on Newt, which meant that the ability block went away there. So I'm just going to focus on Dooku right here, so that he's ability blocked, and then probably switch over to Newt and take care of him. I want to make sure that I try to end up with full protection banners. It might be tricky, depending on whether Newt gets another chance to use his extortion, which we're about to find out. I think I'll focus on Django here. Although I'm nearly there. I don't need a whole lot, and he's about to take a turn, so actually I'll kill off Dooku. There he goes. Now I can do the heal. I don't need to do the cleanse just yet, because I'm going to take enough turns. Yeah, could have probably even undersized this because they're such low gear, but I'm not a huge fan of undersizing with Geos. It's tricky enough as it is to max banners with them. Okay, so then there's the Karth team left, and there is the EP and the Geos team. So something that I could do over here, if I go and check his speeds, he's probably relatively slow. So 176. Okay, the tricky thing is, like, what I could do, for example, is do an EP mirror match, but the risk is that if I trigger Malak here, that's probably this one. Like, if I crit with Vader on Malak, then I will get feared. So I could screw myself over there in the beginning, depending on whether I crit him or not. If I don't crit, then I'm fine and I'm going to dominate his team. If I do crit, then my Darth Vader will be feared, and as a result I won't be able to get a turn meter train going, depending on what the rest of the speeds on the team are, obviously. So he's got 204 on Palpatine. The Vader would end up at, because they're all Sith and Empire, yeah, he's still going to be slower than my Emperor Palpatine. So even in that scenario, I might end up okay. So we've got 249 on Thrawn, 268 on Malak. So I think I'll test that just because I'm interested. Even if it ends up going wrong, it won't hurt me too much. because I also still have Thrawn, and Thrawn is quicker, and that would allow me to save Treya and Scion as backup for the Geos in case my Nest doesn't make it. So it's a bit of a test. I don't have to worry about my opponent one-shotting my board. It's just not going to happen. He doesn't have the teams. So this is the kind of match where I can freely take that kind of experiment and figure out how it works. So it's interesting that he also put his Thrawn on defense, considering on how many matches he sort of has to punch up. And that's the moment where, after all of my talk, I realized that my Emperor Palpatine is on defense. So congratulations to me. There goes the idea. Totally forgot that I put him over there. That's too bad. In that case, I'll have to do something different. Probably going to have to send Treya in on Emperor Palpatine in that case, and then use Plo and Nest over here. So in that case, I should do this matchup first. I wonder if the viewer watching this realized a couple minutes earlier than me that I had my EP on defense, or if you weren't paying attention either. Let's see, 57%. Okay, so his crit chance is not too high. The speed is not too high, so my Nest should be able to handle it. Obviously, always a bit of a question mark. Let's just quickly check, are there any other options? Ray Jedi Training could probably get pretty far, considering how much of a speed lead I would have on them. I could pick off, like I could control Vader in the beginning, although he's not even the fastest, but I could at least control him, pick off Emperor Palpatine, and then gradually the others. So I have options to get through it. Let's just start with the Geos match over here then, and see how it goes. Now I'm not going to put it in airplane mode here, pretty much because if I fail this, I'll just be sending in Treya. Like, that's going to be my only option, and then it doesn't matter if they're preloaded or not. So let's go with that and see how Nest does. So if anyone watches this and thinks, oh, maybe I should try it out with my Gear 12 Nest sometime, I would strongly advise you not to. Especially not against this strength of team. I think if you have a Gear 12 Nest, which is common for a lot of people, I have no idea obviously because I haven't tried it, but my guess would be that you would cap out somewhere around Gear 10 Geos, because they do still get the bonus health and protection from Geobrute Alpha's lead. But that would be my guess. Maybe someone in the comments who has tried this out on a lower Gear Geo team could correct me, but that's going to be my guess for now. So it's a nice counter if you have the relics. The issue that I have is my Nest doesn't have the best mods. So if I wanted to use her up against a higher relic spy, for example, or some more relics on the team in general, or a faster Geobrute Alpha who heals them up way more, then I might struggle a bit. For that, I would need to have better mods on Nest. She doesn't have any 6-dot mods. She's not as offense oriented as some of the others out there. She's got a lot of tenacity, and the tenacity is nice. Oh, yeah, I can't target him, obviously. Let's get Soldier out of here, because he is the one... Okay, I thought that was a game freeze right there. Not going to be happy if that happens. So yeah, Soldier is the one who puts tenacity down. Without the tenacity down, I can withstand all of those debuffs. If I withstand the debuffs, then Spy doesn't crit as hard. And then I have my specials available to be able to take out multiple people in the team more quickly. So Soldier is generally the one you want to try to take out first. Poggle is the other alternative. They're also the two weakest characters on the team, so naturally the first pick. Now for people who haven't seen the team used before, you can go check out Clash's YouTube channel. He's the one who came up with it under Plo lead, because Plo lead draws away the stealth from Spy occasionally, which lowers Spy's damage that he did right there with that big special. But generally it's a bit bugged. Like, even if Spy unstealths here, I'm not able to target him because of another stupid bug. In a room full of bugs, I guess. But yeah, it's a really good team. You have a lot of tenacity loaded up on Nest. You don't necessarily need it for most of the fight, because you have that irresistible tenacity down on you for much of it. But once Soldier is down, and here you could see I actually countered Spy. So I can't target Spy usually. In this case I seem to be able to. There he goes. So that's If you're able to take out Spy in the first round, that's perfect. I have no idea why I'm having so much lag. But yeah, if you're able to kill Spy, it's perfect because nothing can stop you at that point, other than Sunfac putting daze on you and no more counters. Poggle will still reduce your turn meter as long as there's tenacity down, but Spy is generally the one you want dead. But usually it's Soldier and then Poggle that you actually are able to take out in a timely manner. So you can see here actually I've got 1.5 minutes left on the clock. Now the risk is that if Sunfac dazes you after Spy uses a special, then you just don't have enough damage on their team because you won't be countering for much of the fight. In this case I am in a fine position there because Sunfac did it afterwards. But that's something that could actually really mess you up. In this case, still a minute left, and it's 59 banners. It's not perfect, but it's quite nice. So you can imagine there, if the team is a bit faster or stronger, then it could be pretty tricky to get it done with Nest. So I've failed, like I've timed out on this before, even after taking out maybe Poggle or Soldier, and then just not having enough time left for the rest. So it's not until much later on in the fight where your damage really ramps up. But if it does, great counter, and quite handy to use. So just the 2 teams left here, and I still have my CLS, I still have my Rage Jedi training, and I still have Ewoks, which I'm definitely not going to send in on Malak. And then the Traya team, so I still have 4 options. And I could try to go for some kind of mix like he has, but I'm not sure how beneficial that's going to be. So my logical choice is probably to go with my Traya. I do like Rage Jedi training a lot for her healing immunity on Malak. That could be a big help, but since they crit a lot, I would also be feared a lot. And trying to do something like Rage Jedi training with Nihilus wouldn't be so great. I have a lot more faith in keeping the Triumvirate together. So that's what I'll do. And since my Thrawn is so fast, I can fracture their Malak in the beginning and get a lot of control that way. Also have my old Ben as a tank who can ability block and remove turn meter. So I think this is going to be the team to do it. Could also bring Kylo Ren unmasked. He doesn't have any synergy, but the 2-turn irresistible stun is incredibly handy. But let's try it out with these and see how it goes. Now, if this was a very fast Vader, it would be a very different fight because he's quite the threat. I'm actually even considering fracturing him, because what is the benefit in having Malak fractured if I'm still going to be doing AoEs and getting feared, and I don't really hit him a whole lot for the rest. He is the strongest character though, but I feel like I would rather stop their turn meter train and delay it until later on in the fight. So let's try that out. It might be a bad idea, but I'm just curious what happens. In the event that I don't make it, I'll still kill some characters, so I'll be okay. Now I can isolate Malak so that he doesn't keep taunting. That's what I was hoping to do. Which just seems the more interesting choice between the fracture and the isolate. Okay, so his Thrawn went for my Nihilus. That's the least ideal scenario for me. Anyway, let's take out Vader first. And actually go for Palpatine here. I also like to kill him off first. So I already lost the fracture because they gained so much turn meter. Like, there's really not much of a reason to go for Thrawn. The fracture is annoying, but because of all the turn meter gains that they get, there's very little benefit in killing Thrawn off first in this scenario. So my team's looking fine here. I'm probably going to be able to kill Malak before he really gets too much done. That wasn't even a crit, so that's perfect. Scion already triggered, so now I'm already looking towards, okay, how do I want to stall on this team to make sure that I can recover some protection banners. I guess old Ben here can taunt. He obviously gets hurt a lot from Emperor Palpatine being here. I'll actually kill with a fracture. Okay, it didn't kill. I thought it would do a bit more damage, but there were no crits there. I like to get the kill already, because then Thrawn gets a turn pretty soon after, and that allows him to get the turn meter swap in quicker already. In this case, that didn't work out. Now, instead of putting more cooldown reductions on Nihilus, I'm going to start putting them on Thrawn, so that he can cycle through his moves quicker. Unfortunately, old Ben got targeted out there. So any protection banners that I even tried to recover, they're not as helpful because I've basically already wasted the potential gains there. Oh, that's really annoying. In this case, I'm going to start fracturing Malik and start focusing down Vader. There he goes. Don't need to use the special. You can use it to try to get quicker back to the special that allows you to recover protection, so I'll do it now actually, just so that I can get to that sometime soon. Although he's starting to get hit up to the extent where he's not able to recover by himself, so we'll see. Now, obviously the fear is over here. I'm still going to swap just to try to get him back sooner, because otherwise it's going to take me a while. Let's ability block Thrawn here. So I have no idea what his cooldowns are like at the moment. And I think I'll fracture Thrawn now as well. Could have gone for Tarkin there to get the kill quicker, I suppose. That might have been smarter. Yeah. If I wanted to recover any banners, that would have been the way to go. So that was a misplay. But that's quite alright. So I get one more turn meter swap. I will recover on Traya. I could have done Nihilus as well, but Traya wasn't going to be full. So 55, that's fairly ugly, but it got the job done. It's not really a good use of his Malak. He's like, it's nice to put Malak in his team if your Vader's super fast, but at this speed, it's not any kind of challenge really. I could have done this without Old Ben probably, but yeah, I don't really need to do any undersized feats, so I figured I'd just go like this. So that leaves Karth. Yeah, just gonna CLS this, I think. What do I like more? Rage Out of Training is... The thing with Rage Out of Training is it's a lot easier to recover the protection because you just have a lot more control over who is allowed to take turns. So I think I'll actually use her. I saved R2-D2 for it in the end. The three are really strong together, but the odds of ending up with less protection on some of them are a bit higher. And this is just a more fun team to use as well, in my opinion. CLS, the high burst damage, it's okay, but it gets old after a while. This is a lot more thought through of how you can make all their specials and moves work together. So let's get started. Now you obviously, with Karth's crit avoidance boost and maybe a crit avoidance arrow on Zalbar and Juhani, they can make it quite annoying for you to land exposes initially, even though you get a lot of crit chance from her lead. But in general, it's fine. So I'm going to put this one on, let's put it on R2 so he gets the burn back quicker. Pass it over to, let's get Zalbar under control here for a bit. Now Juhani has an ability to cleanse, so I want to try to stun her. It probably doesn't land, but at least I get the expose, which was the main goal. And then now I can try to get Juhani under her. Nah, I'm not really critting. Okay, it's fine. I still got the stun. So you can see here the team is on complete lockdown. Nobody has moved yet. And now I can start even focusing on Zalbar as the first target, who's usually the one who keeps retaunting. Usually the one you want to stall on as well. But in this case, because of the strength of the team and their total inability to take any turns, I can just focus on him. So everyone has the triple stacks already. Now he gets triggered, but a little too late. And I get the Illuminated Destiny. Let's not make any mistakes towards the end. I thought I was going to have the burn available already there. There it is. That should be 2 kills, maybe? Mission's not that strong now. I don't think I really crit a whole lot throughout the fight on the AoEs, but surprisingly more often on the direct attacks. That looks like Kyber to me. So yeah, didn't get it last time. Actually, for the first season ever, out of all the seasons we've had, this time there's like another match and there's a whole lot of feats I didn't bother to do. So it's definitely so much more lenient when chips are in there. Let's see, he's got the Sunfac lineup. It doesn't really make a difference, I guess, when you're using Negotiator. I don't have anything intelligent to say either regarding how you should play it up against Sunfac. That is definitely the wrong ship, because I just never fight it. Obviously, nobody runs this in Arena. Nobody sets this in Territory Wars either, really, at RGB. Maybe I'll just leave these guys out and go with all attackers. All attackers and Plo. And that should get the job done. You run the little bit of a risk in the beginning that they focus on Ahsoka, which is annoying. So I like there's no point in debuffing the Millennium Falcon because he immediately cleanses it, but you can debuff Biggs. Yeah, they almost always go for Ahsoka. It's pretty crazy. Ah, he landed a stun there. I didn't know Sunfac would go before my capital ship. That's actually interesting. In this case, I'm not going to spec because I will get the capital ship special. I'd rather get the Retribution here. Now, because Anakin isn't shooting, I wasn't sure if I was going to get a kill there, but it ended up being one, so that's good. I'll save the special here, so it doesn't really do any more damage. And now I can use this one. No crit. My Ahsoka absolutely never crits. I don't know if anyone else out there has that issue, but it's just freaking impossible to crit with that lady. Yeah, the AI knows who the weakest target is here, unfortunately. I'm gonna lose him, I think. But that's what we have this special for. Yep. Okay, at least I got rid of those buffs. So the next attacks won't be dodged, but he gets it right back. Don't think I'll be able to kill him in time here. They're going to bring in another ship. Oh, I get the attack in here. Not sure if that's able to crit. I don't think I've ever seen a crit. Well, there go the banners, unfortunately. And he's going to... Yep, I figured that might happen. That's a pity. Just not enough damage on some of the attacks. You see how much of a difference it makes sometimes to crit or not. So I think this is going to be what, like 64? Okay, I thought it was 63. So kind of the same outcome as always. So yeah, he's got to beat 1927. That's going to be, I think, a bit difficult for him, considering the only thing that he has for offense is Padme, JKR, Darth Revan without Malak, Treya, and CLS. So good luck to him. I don't know if he's going to attack. We'll see. He's still got 7 hours to do. I think he's another opponent who always waits out his opponents. From here on forward, like starting from next week, I will probably start attacking rather late. Just because of changes in my time schedule and when I'm able to make myself available to do Grand Arena. So I'll be attacking later and later on, not to stall opponents out, but simply because I don't have the time earlier on to do it. So that might change things up a little bit. Maybe I'll get some more opponents who attack earlier, unlike the last few who have always waited out or simply not attacked at all. But yeah, pretty easy match here. Like I said, it's a bit of a strange week considering the previous ones. An interesting thing to note actually is that the guy that I lost twice against this season, who I had to rematch, he's currently rank 4 in the division. So definitely knows what he's doing. Also 250k lifetime score here. And Birdie in my guild, he's also gunning for the top position. He's been doing really well. I hope for him that it works out. So he's really close over there. Even top 10 would already be amazing, I think. I've gotten close there myself a few times, but then got messed up by auto deployers and people who try to grieve you when they see the rank that you have by setting everything on defense. So that's quite a pity. I'm actually gunning for a top position myself as well, but not in any noteworthy division. I actually have a ticket account where I still play for fun. Don't have a whole lot of time for it, but I still do the Grand Arenas. And I'm currently rank 8 on there, but I have the feats lined up to get rank 1. The only issue that I have on there is that in the final round I have to fight a Relic 6 General Grievous, and I'm just not able to take those down. So if he sets that on defense, again, he could grieve me out of getting rank 1, which would suck. This is the account, so I actually had it in during GOTB in our guild twice, which allowed it to unlock something like 4 or 5 months ago, and because of that I actually got interested in building a team around it with Stormtrooper Han at Relic 6, now Han Solo at Relic 5, just because I don't really have the gear 12 pieces to take him any higher, and then Chewie over here, he's almost going to be 7 stars, but I still have to get some shards for Bosk, I believe. Yeah, Bosk is something like 7 shards away, but I have Django, etc. I don't know if those bounty hunters will be able to do it, but yeah, it's pretty easy because you just set Stormtrooper Han with Watt on defense. If they have Nihilus, then you add in CLS and Han and Chewie or something. And then for offense, I have an EP team that's low gear, that's got 3 gear 10s and 2 gear 8s with Thrawn in there and TFP. But they have high speeds because I know what mods are. And then I have bounty hunters for offense as well. And what else do I have? I have like a really weak Bastilla team with a pretty powerful Grandmaster Yoda, so I can make stuff work. I can also solo teams on offense with Han Solo if the opponent allows it. So yeah, what just makes it really easy. It's not entirely fair to opponents, but it's fun to play. So yeah. Then again, I've also, like in one of my previous matches, I fought an opponent who at this GP, so we're talking like 900k GP, he had a negotiator, he had Hermit Yoda at 6 stars, and he had Darth Treya unlocked. So there's lots of those people floating around, and especially because of the relics that I have, I fight similar opponents. Like I said, someone who has a Relic 6 General Grievous. I fought Relic 7 Darth Mauls, fought high Relic JKR teams that I'm able to take out. So yeah, there's lots of options there, but maybe I'll be able to make it to rank 1 there. I don't know, it really depends on this very last opponent that I'll be fighting there, and there might be a lot of other people here holding feats as well still. So I don't know, I'll have to see, but it's fun either way. Nowhere near as cool as getting a high rank in the top divisions, obviously, but it's just been a fun little project that I've been trying to work on whenever I have a little bit of time for it, and it's surprisingly going well this time, so we'll see. Anyways, that's it for my match. I'll get back to you if my opponent decides to attack, though I think I know the outcome. So yeah, see you in the final round, and good luck with your final round.